So recently, I've started to get back into Darkstalkers, and I've been really looking for an excuse to make a video on it. The only problem is that Darkstalkers is a video game, and this is an anime channel now, and if I just switch between the two forms of media as topics like I did last year, then my algorithm will just get really messy, and that won't be good for, like I said, it just won't be good for the algorithm. So I haven't been able to make a Darkstalkers video recently, but then I had an idea. What if I gave my pitch for a Darkstalkers anime? Some of you may be wondering why I want a new Darkstalkers anime, but I'll explain that all in just a second. So just sit back and let me tell you my idea for a Darkstalkers anime. So it's no secret that Darkstalkers has been sort of dead for decades at this point. While the community for Vampire Savior is still pretty die-hard and keeping the game alive, and while Capcom has released collections of the game on modern consoles, we have still not gotten an actual new game since 1997 when Vampire Savior came out. That's 28 years. The last Darkstalkers game that came out is over 9 years older than I am. Many fans have simply assumed that the series will stay in the dirt forever, which would truly be a sad fate for such an awesome series full of such interesting characters, but I have an idea that could possibly spark more interest in the series and maybe open up the doors for a new game. It's in the title of this video, you know, I don't know what to say, I think y'all predicted that, so yeah. You're probably wondering, how could a new Darkstalkers anime open up the gates to a new game? Well, in the past, we have seen that adaptations of video games have helped expand the audience of said game and help get old players back to return to the game, you know, get new interest into the game. An example of this was Cyberpunk Edgerunners, only a little bit under 3 years ago. That game's 2077's reputation was in the dirt after its launch because of how glitchy and buggy it was and just how terrible the state it was in launch. But the game dug itself out of that hole and brought in a whole new audience because of that anime. And now this game is like a lot of people love it now because of Edgerunners, which is a genuinely amazing anime and one of my favorite anime of all time, which I'll probably make a video on it eventually. I've just been looking for the right video. I don't really know what video I want to make on it, but eventually when I find the right idea, I'll make a video on Edgerunners. So maybe a really good Darkstalkers anime could have the same effect on this franchise. But what would it even be about? Well, you could definitely go with an original story, but I have a much simpler idea. Just adapt Vampire Savior. For those of you that don't know, there actually was a Darkstalkers anime in the 90s, or I guess an OVA. It was based off of the second game in the series, Vampire Hunter, but Vampire Savior never really got an anime. So I figured, why not just adapt Vampire Savior? And if you're wondering why I chose Vampire Savior over Night Warriors, the first Darkstalkers, which also never had an anime, well, Vampire Hunter is basically just the original Darkstalker story, but with the addition of new characters. So you'd basically just be telling the same story from the 90s OVA, you'd just be cutting out Donovan. Also, Vampire Savior has gone on to be the favorite of the most fans in the series, and the game its legacy has remained strong up until now. It's still played at pretty big tournaments and is the most active of Darkstalkers games currently. And I also think Jada is just a much cooler villain than Pyron, and the plot of Vampire Savior is just more interesting than the first two games. So basically, we're adapting the story of Vampire Savior, although we'd be expanding on a story while doing so. To be honest, I'd make this anime a 10-episode, one-season anime similar to Cyberpunk Edgerunners. The anime will follow Morrigan shortly after the death of her father and now an heir to the throne of the Makai, having to stop Jada from manipulating reality to combine all the souls into one and creating the realm known as the Majijin. We'll also see the introduction of Lilith leading up to the fight between Morrigan and Lilith before the two eventually fuse after the fight with Jada, just like in the original story. In the anime, the emptiness inside of Morrigan before fusing back with Lilith will be explored a bit more, and it will be a part of her character arc until she finally becomes one with Lilith again, and will then feel whole now that all of her soul is back together. Although, I don't want this story to just focus on Morrigan and Lilith, I want to see the arcs of the other Darkstalkers too, such as Felicia, John Talbane, Heisenko, those guys. Most of the main ones, basically. Although, since this isn't 10-episode anime instead of just in arcade mode, which really just has the endings, we have the opportunity to see a lot more of their arcs. And like I said, this is basically just a direct adaptation of Vampire Savior. We're just going to expand on all the plot points. So, you know, a more fleshed out story, basically. One thing this anime needs to get right is the cartoonish aspects of Darkstalkers. The series is very famous for having animation similar to Looney Tunes that bring a lot of personality to every character. All the characters feel so alive, and it's one of the biggest contributors to the series' charm. So I think it would be great if the animation team were able to capture this same magic. And while there can still be serious moments, of course, as some parts of Darkstalkers are dark, I think it's really important that they keep this comedic, like, sort of animation style where, like, you know, like you have the characters and like wacky, like having wacky, like animations and emotes and like you know, just keeping that cartoonish aspect of the game alive in the anime. So who would I personally have animate this? Which studio would I pick to animate a Vampire Savior anime? Well, after putting some thinking into it, I figured I'd either go with Studio Trigger or Science Saru. Both of these studios have been shown to animate cartoonish scenes, some scenes of amazing animation. In Science Saru's case, they have experience with anime related to monsters and demons and things of the like. I think either of these studios could perfectly recreate the same charm that Darkstalkers did in the 90s. For those of you that don't know, Studio Trigger is responsible for Kill la Kill, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and New Painting and Stalking, which comes out next month. Studio Trigger comes from Studio Gainax, who's responsible for Evangelion, Gurren Lagann, and the first season of Painting and Stalking. Science Saru is responsible for Devilman Crybaby, Dandadan, and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Either would be a perfect choice for recreating the magic of Darkstalkers. Anyways, that's my pitch for a Darkstalkers anime. I just really hope this series can come back one day, and I think the anime will be a really good way to build hype for a new game. So maybe, eventually, the stars will align and we will be blessed with a new Darkstalkers. Alright, that's going to be ending off this video. I hope you all liked this video. This was like a quick little idea I had. Just wanted to throw out my quick little pitch for an anime. You know, pretty simple. Just adapt Vampire Savior. Maybe expand on it a little bit more. Expand on the plot a little bit more. Since, I mean, there's definitely a plot in Vampire Savior. A pretty interesting one too. It's just that, like, you really only see it through the character endings. So, like, it would be better if we could expand on that and just see a little bit more from all the characters. But yeah, that's mainly my idea. My next one might be a video where I've come up with a hypothetical roster for a High School DxD fighting game if we were to get one. I was originally thinking about doing one for like a hero shooter for High School DxD, like a Marvel Rivals type game. But then I thought about it. I was like, no, I want to do fighting game because, to be honest, I'm just going to be deadass right now. I like fighting games more than I like hero shooters. Marvel Rivals is the only hero shooter I like. I haven't even played in that long. I mean, no, Battlefront 2 isn't a hero shooter. It's not. I don't even know why that thought crossed my mind. But, so, yeah. So, my next video probably would be making up a High School DxD hypothetical fighting game roster. So, that's going to be pretty cool. And, yeah. So, and besides that, I don't really know yet. I'm kind of still thinking. Like I said earlier, there's going to be a Cyberpunk Edgerunners video eventually. I just don't know when, because I don't even know what I want to do for the video. Because it's really an anime where, like, I want it to be about something special. I don't want to just say like this. I don't know. I'm kind of struggling to really find a good idea for a Cyberpunk Edgerunners video, because I feel like a lot of stuff about it has already been said to death, and was said to death like when it came out. But anyways, stay safe, y'all. You know, if you want to, follow my Twitch, my Patreon, my Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff if you want. And yeah, and I'm about to hit Philly on a Twitch like really soon, so that's gonna be really cool. So yeah. Anyways, stay safe, y'all. Peace.